Hey, beautiful people of the internet, how are you guys doing today? Hopefully great. Welcome to Budget Builds, where we use zero format and achieve maximum efficiency. In today's video, we're taking a closer look at Nova, an amazing crowd control Warframe. Before I continue with the video, please Spartan kick the subscribe button for more Warframe videos, and let's do this. So let's start off with Nova's passive. Basically, when you get knocked over, what's going to happen is Nova will emit a 6-meter defensive burst that topples over the enemies and deals 250 damage towards them. Overall, it's a very weak passive, but it is better than nothing. Moving on to the first ability, that being Null Star. So basically, this is your bread and butter. Without this ability, you will die, as Nova is very squishy. So here's how this ability works. When you activate it, you'll notice that Nova will be orbited by these antimatter particles. Now, I'm going to refer to them as balls. I don't want to hear any sexual jokes, but anyways. So, for every ball that you have active, you'll gain 5% damage reduction to Nova's health. And yes, this does stack up to 90%. It's also worth noting that while this ability is active, if you get too close to the enemy, those balls will then seek out and attack the nearby target. So keep that in mind. Moving on to our next ability, that being antimatter drop. So you have this giant ball, right? And what happens is it is open to damage, particularly to your assault rifle. Now, whatever damage that you deal upon that ball will then be outputted to the enemies that get affected by this ball, aka the detonation will be determined by the amount of damage you input. Next, we have Wormhole. Creates a wormhole allowing instantaneous travel. So yeah, you have a portal, depending on how much range you have on your build, will determine how long it takes you. So yeah, that's all that does. Think of it as fast transportation. And finally, we have Molecular Prime. This is Nova's signature ability. This is the ability that makes Nova shine. So here's how it works. When you push your number 4 and affect the enemies with volatile antimatter, what will happen is you'll change their speed depending on your build. If you have high power strength, what will happen is you'll slow the enemies. If you have low power strength, you'll increase their speed, so you'll speed them up from normal. And also, it is also worth noting that you'll make them a lot easier to kill, especially if they are a lot slower. It's also fantastic crowd control, if not the best crowd control, I feel. So, now that we know exactly how Nova performs or how she works, let's move on to her build. So as you guys can see, I've got two builds for you guys. One is a slower. The other is a speedver. The difference between the two are as follows. A speedver makes the enemies move a lot faster, whereas a slower makes the enemies move slower. Without further ado, let's go over the mods. As you guys can see, I've already invested one forma onto this build, but don't worry, I've got you guys covered. All these builds I'm about to show you guys have all been adjusted to suit zero forma builds. So let's go over the mods. For our aura, we have Energy Siphon. I like to use Energy Siphon because I do not like to worry about running out of energy during the mission. But if you guys don't want to use Energy Siphon, that's cool. You guys can use any other aura. Just make sure it is a dash polarity. Next, we have Power Drift and Intensify for more power strength. These two mods in particular are very important because Molecular Prime has a cap. If you add any further power strength, then you're wasting mod capacity. Next, we've got Narrow-Minded, Prime Continuity, and Constitution for more duration. The more duration you guys have, the more range your Molecular Prime will have. And on top of that, all that range, what's going to happen is Null Star does get affected by duration. And for those who don't know, Null Star will keep you alive and it gives you more balls. Now, the number of balls is determined by how much duration you guys have. So the more balls you guys have, the more damage reduction you will have. So keep that in mind. Next, we've got Flow for a bigger energy pool. And finally, we have a Vitality for more health. And let's not forget Streamline for more ability efficiency. That way, we don't get caught with our pants down. Now, in the Arcanes department, now you guys do not have to have these. This build will work perfectly fine without any Arcanes. But if in the case that you guys do have Arcanes, here's what I'm running. I am running with a maxed out Arcane Energize. Once again, I do not want to worry about not having enough energy. Next, I have Guardian, more armor. Nova is really squishy without anything, so having Arcane Guardian will help surviving even further. Moving on to our next build, that being Speedver. Now remember, when the enemies are primed, they will move a lot faster, so keep that in mind. So let's move on with the build. As you guys can see, I've already got one forma invested, but don't worry, once again, This build has been adjusted to fit the Zero Forma need. So let's begin with our aura. So we've got energy siphon, that way we have constant energy regeneration throughout the mission. Me personally, I do not like to worry about not having enough energy. But feel free to use any aura that fits your playstyle. Just make sure it's a dash polarity. Next, we've got prime continuity, narrow-minded, constitution, and augur message for more duration. Remember, the more duration we have, the longer our molecular prime will reach. And duration makes Nova even more tanky. So, in other words, the more duration you guys have, the more balls you'll have full null star. And remember, for each ball that you guys have, each ball will give you 5% damage reduction on Nova's health. In order to achieve the 90% damage reduction, you need to have 18 balls. Now, when it comes to duration, feel free to take out Constitution and replace it for Vitality. That's up to you guys. So in other words, do you want to sacrifice a little bit more range for your molecular prime and a little bit more damage reduction and have a little bit more health? Or would you rather keep it this way? 100% up to you guys. Next, we've got Streamline for more efficiency. That way we don't get caught with our pants down. Also, we've got Flow for a bigger energy pool. That way it helps out with our efficiency in a funny way. And finally, the most important mod is Overextended. Now, the range doesn't do anything. Only thing that the range will do is that it will just make your portal move even further than usual. Very good for traveling when it comes to places like the Plains of Eidolon or any open world area. But Overextended's negation ability, or its negation stat, that being power strength, that negation will make the enemies move a lot faster. So by having Overextended, it will drop our power strength from 100% all the way down to 40%. 40% making the enemies move a lot faster, therefore you're negating the effect entirely. In terms of our arcanes, we're going to be having an Arcane Energize, that way we don't have to worry about energy, and finally an Arcane Guardian, that way we have more armor. If you guys don't have these arcanes, don't worry, you can still use this build. These arcanes just give you a slight advantage. In terms of energy, just make sure you guys have Generic, which is the most used school tree in the entire game. So I currently have the Slover build equipped. Let me show you on how this build performs. So when you guys are in a mission, the first thing you guys need to do is to go and activate Null Star, this being your damage reduction ability. So do it like so, and as you guys can see, I am being orbited by a whole bunch of balls, or what the game referred to as antimatter particles. So here's how this ability works. For every active ball that you guys have orbiting Nova, you'll receive 5% damage reduction towards your health. And yes, they do stack. In order to receive the 90% damage reduction, you need to have a total of 18 balls. If you look at the bottom right, I only have 15. That means in this current build, you'll only have 75% damage reduction, which I think is really good, considering that when you crowd control the enemies, they will be very slow and they won't be able to attack you relatively quick. And also, it's also recommended that if you guys go into a mission where you guys know you're going to be taking a lot of damage, it is recommended that you guys bring something that will guarantee your health back to you. Now that we know exactly how Null Star works, let's move on to Molecular Prime. So let's spawn in some enemies like so. Let's mark them. Let's stand as far back as possible. I'd say 56 meters is fine. Activate our number 4. Let's sit back, relax, and watch Molecular Prime do its thing. And now let's take a look at how well Molecular Prime affected enemies. As you guys can see, from more than 50 meters away, Molecular Prime affected the enemies. And as you guys can see, they are very, very slow. So you'll survive very easily, and this is why Nova is one of the best crowd control Warframes in the game. Now, when the enemies are affected by the Molecular Prime, it is also worth noting that they will take increased damage. Let me show you. As you guys can see, my weapon is taking them out like it's nothing, and I'm only using gas, which is the incorrect element to use when it comes to armor. Even though butchers are very easy to be killed, this just shows you on how powerful Nova is. So not only can you make them slow, but also you make all the affected enemies within the area a lot weaker. Now I am using the Speedver build. Now remember, this will make the enemies move a lot quicker. So let me show you how it works. So activate your number 1, that being Null Star. In this case, I have 80% damage reduction because I've got 16 antimatter particles orbiting me. So let me show you how Molecular Prime performs. So go up to our console and let's spawn in some enemies. And let's mark them, that way we know how far they are. And then activate our number 4. Sit back, relax, and watch Molecular Prime do its thing. Now that the enemies have been affected, watch them move a lot quicker than me. In fact, when I'm walking, they can run a lot quicker than me. But thankfully, because they have to stop to attack me, I can always get away. And as you guys can see, they are moving a lot faster. So that is Nova. If you guys want to make the enemies faster, you got it. If you guys want to make the enemies slower, you got it. Anyways, that's all for today's video. If you guys liked the video or if it's helped you out, leave a like. Spot and click the subscribe button for more Warframe videos. I'ma make like a banana and split.